In this lesson, we are going to learn about systems of linear equations. I'm going to go over what I taught in class, which this is the classwork assignment. The assignment that says homework is the homework assignment I gave you. So on problem numbers 1 through 10, we are going to be using the addition or the elimination method. Okay. On problem numbers 11 through 20, we are going to be using the substitution method. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. We are going to be doing these problems on scratch paper just because I don't feel like there's enough room for me to effectively teach you on these handouts. So I'm going to work this on scratch paper. So number 1 said that I had negative 4x minus 3y equals 11. And then 4x minus 4y equals negative 4. So this is the addition method. So that means we're going to be adding these equations together. And since it's also called the elimination method, that means that something's going to be eliminated. So negative 4x plus 4x. Well, those cancel because those give you 0. Negative 3y plus negative 4y is negative 7y. 11 plus negative 4 is 7. So now I have a y, so I need to get that y by itself. So y equals negative 1. So in this concept, we are going to be finding x and y values that both work for your top equation and your bottom equation. So you're always going to find an x value and a y value, which you would write as an ordered pair that we learned about in Unit 3. So we have the y value, now we need to find the x value. It does not matter which equation I plug this y value into because it should work for both. I'm going to choose the bottom equation just because I want to, doesn't matter. So I'm going to plug in negative 1 in for y. So I'm going to bring my 4x down. Negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4. And I'm going to bring down my negative 3. Then I'm going to subtract 4. Oops, this should be a negative 4, not a 3. Sorry about that, guys. That's why it's not working out. So this should be a negative 4 because I used this bottom equation and there was a negative 4 right here. So I'm subtracting 4 from this side and 4 from this side. So that gives me 4x equals negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. Divide both sides by 4 to get x equals negative 2. So since my x value is negative 2, that's going to be the first part of my answer. Oops. And then since negative 1 was my y value, that's going to be my second part of my answer. So now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says that you have 3x plus 2y equals negative 12. And then 2x minus 2y equals 2. So we're going to add these equations together. 3x plus 2x is 5x. 2y plus negative 2y, well, those give me 0, so that's going to cancel. Equals negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 5. To get x equals negative 2. So it depends on which variable eliminates as to which variable you solve for. So up here, notice that your x's eliminated. So you were solving for your y value first. Down here, your y value is eliminated, so now you're solving for your x value first. It depends on which one eliminates as to which one you're going to find first. So now I'm going to plug -2 into one of my x values. This time I'm going to choose the top equation just to show you it doesn't matter which equation you choose. So -2 in place of x. So 3 times -2 is -6. And then you add 6 to both sides to get 2y equals -6. Divide both sides by 2 to get y equals -3. So on number 2, my x value is -2 and my y value is -3. So that should be what your answer looks like. Number 3 says I have -2x plus 4y equals -12, and then 2x minus y equals +12. So I'm going to add these two equations together. -2x plus 2x. Well, those will eliminate. And then I've got 4y plus -y. Remember that this has an understood 1 in front. So that would be 4 plus -1, which would give me 3y. -12 plus 12 gives you 0. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 3 to get that y by itself. 0 divided by 3 is 0. Anytime you divide 0 by a number, you're going to get an answer of 0. So now I'm going to plug this 0 into either equation. This time I'll choose the bottom one. So I'm going to plug a 0 in for my y. Alright, so if I were to have 2 and I took 0 away, I would still have 2. So 2x minus 0 is still 2x. Divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 6. So make sure you don't write this answer backwards. 6 is your x value, so 6 should be the first number you write. And then 0 is your y value, so that should be the second number you write. Don't forget it is important to include that comma and those set of parentheses. That makes it the ordered pair, so make sure that you are doing so. Now looking at number 4, I have -5x plus y equals -18, and then x minus y equals 6. So I'm going to add these two equations together to get -5x plus x. So this is understood to be a 1, so -5 plus 1 is -4x, y plus -y, those are going to cancel, equals -18 plus 6 is -12. Now, to get the x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by a -4. X equals a +3. So now I'm going to plug 3 into one of my equations. It doesn't matter which. This time I'm going to choose the top equation. So I'm going to plug in a 3 for my x value. So -5 times 3 is -15. Then you add 15 to both sides to get y equals -3. So your answer should be 3, -3. Your x value comes first, then your y. Now we'll move on to number 5. Number 5 says I have 5x plus 4y equals -17, And then I have 6x minus 4y equals 6. So this is the addition method, so we're going to add these equations together. So 5x plus 6x is 11x. 4y plus negative 4y. Well, those are going to cancel, leaving you with negative 17 plus 6 is negative 11. So now I need to get that x by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 11 to get x equals a negative 1. Now I plug that x back into one of my equations. I'm going to choose the top equation. So x is negative 1. So I'm going to plug in a negative 1 for my x value. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. And I'm going to bring everything else down. Add 5 to each side to get 4y equals negative 12. Then to get that y by itself, I'm going to get y equals negative 3. So my answer for this problem, the x value comes first, so it would be negative 1 and then negative 3. Now we're going to move on to the next page for numbers 6 through 10. So number 6 has 5x minus 5y equals 0, negative x plus 5y equals 8. I'm going to add these together. So 5x plus negative x. Remember, that's a negative 1x. So 5 plus negative 1 is a 4x. Negative 5y plus 5y, those eliminate. And then 0 plus 8 is 8. Now we're going to divide both sides by 4 to get x equals 2. Now I have to find my y value. So I'm going to plug this 2 in place of one of my equations. This time I'm going to choose the bottom equation. So I'm going to plug 2 in place of x. So negative 2 plus 5y equals 8. So to get that y by itself, I'm first going to add 2 to both sides to get 5y equals 10. Divide both sides by 5 to get y equals 2. So your answer on number 6 is going to be 2, 2. Number 7, I have 6x plus y equals 16. And then negative x minus y equals negative 6. So I'm going to add these two equations together, which 6x plus negative 1x is 5x. Y minus y is going to eliminate. 16 plus negative 6 is a 10. Now we're going to divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 2. So now I'm going to plug 2 in place of one of our equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose the top equation. So I'm going to plug 2 in place of my x. So 6 times 2 is 12. And to get that y by itself, I'm going to subtract 12 from each side to get y equals 4. So remember, your your x value comes first. So your answer is going to be 2, 4. Now moving on to problem number 8. On number 8, I have 4x minus y equals 7 and negative 4x plus 3y equals 3. So I'm going to add these two equations together. Well, 4x plus negative 4x. Well, those are going to cancel or eliminate. And then it's negative 1y plus 3y is 2y. 7 plus 3 is 10. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get y equals 5. Now I'm going to plug my 5 into the y of any equation. This time I'm going to choose my top equation. So I'm going to plug 5 in place of y. So if I've got 4x minus 5, I'm going to add 5 to each side to get that x by itself. So that's 4x equals 12. And I'm going to divide 4 by each side to get x equals 3. So my answer this time is going to be 3, 5. Your x value should come first, which is the 3, and then the y value should come second, which is the 5. Now moving on to problem number 9. Number 9, I have 2x minus y equals 7, and then negative 3x plus y equals, read it wrong, sorry. That's 2x minus y equals 5, and then negative 3x plus y equals negative 5. Sorry about that. So I'm going to add these two equations together. 2x minus 3x. Well, if you have $2 and then you spend $3, well, you now owe $1. Negative y plus y, those will cancel. And then 5 minus 5 is 0. To get that x by itself, we're going to divide both sides by negative 1 to get x equals 0, because 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. So now I'm going to plug 0 in place of my x on either equation. I'm going to choose the bottom one this time. So 0 in place of my x, and I'm going to bring everything else down. So negative 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus y is y. So y equals negative 5. So your answer for number 9 should be 0, negative 5. Number 10, I have negative 5x plus y equals 13, and then 6x minus y equals negative 15. So I'm going to add these two equations together. Negative 5x plus 6x is x. Y minus y cancels. 13 plus negative 15 is negative 2. Now I'm going to plug negative 2 into one of my equations. It doesn't matter which. I'm going to choose the top equation. So instead of x, I'm going to put a negative 2. So that gives me a positive 10 plus y equals 13. Subtract 10 from each side to get y equals 3, because 13 minus 10 is 3. So my answer should be negative 2, positive 3. Now let's move on to problem number 11. Okay, so now on this page, this is when we start using the substitution method. So if we look at the first couple of problems on this page, we'll notice that we have a y equals or an x equals. So here we have a y equals, here we have a y equals. So we are going to be substituting. So for number 11, we have negative 4x plus 2y equals negative 10. And then y equals negative 3x plus 10. So I'm going to put the y equals equation in a box. And I'm going to draw an arrow to where the y is of the other equation. So I'm going to plug negative 3x plus 10 in place of this y. So I have negative 4x plus 2. And instead of writing y, I'm going to write negative 3x plus 10. The parentheses do matter. I'm going to plug down or bring down that negative 10. So now I'm going to distribute this 2 to get negative 4x. 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. 2 times 10 is 20 equals negative 10. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. Negative 4x minus 6x is negative 10x. Bring down your 20 and your negative 10. We're going to subtract 20 from each side to get negative 10x equals negative 30. Divide both sides by negative 10 to get x equals a positive 3. So now I'm going to plug my positive 3 into the x of one of the top equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose the bottom equation. Each time we do one of these problems, I'm going to choose that equation in the box. That's always going to be the easiest one to plug it into. So that's y equals negative 3x plus 10. So I'm going to plug 3 in place of that x, because it's x equals. So I've got negative 3 times 3, which is negative 9. Bring down your 10. And then negative 9 plus 10 is a positive 1. So my answer for number 11 should be 3, 1. So now I'm going to do number 12. Number 12, I've got negative 4x minus 4y equals negative 4. And then y equals 3x plus 9. So I'm going to take this 3x plus 9 and plug it into the y value of the top equation. So that gives you negative 4x minus 4, and instead of the y, I'm going to write 3x plus 9. And then equals a negative 4. Now I'm going to distribute this negative 4 in place of both terms inside of that set of parentheses. So that's negative 4x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12x. Don't forget that x there. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36 equals negative 4. Combine your like terms to get negative 4x minus 12x is negative 16x. Bring down your negative 36, your negative 4. Add 36 to both sides to get negative 16x equals 32. Then divide both sides by negative 16 to get x equals negative 2. Now that I know what my x value is, I can find out my y value by plugging it back into one of my equations. Remember, I'm always going to choose the one in the box because that's the easier one. So that's y equals 3x plus 9. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write a negative 2. Three times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 9 is 3. So my answer on this problem is going to be negative 2, 3. Remember, your x value should always come first, and then your y value. Now moving on to problem number 13. Number 13 says I have y equals x plus 3, and then negative x plus 3y equals 1. So I'm going to plug in x plus 3 into the y value of my other equation, which would give me negative x plus 3, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write x plus 3. Bring down your 1. So I'm going to distribute this 3 into both terms inside of my set of parentheses. So that's a negative x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. So that's a negative 1x plus 3x is 2x. Bring down your 9 and your 1. Subtract 9 from each side to get 2x equals negative 8. Divide both sides by 2 to get x equals negative 4. Now I'm going to plug that negative 4 into one of my equations. Remember, you always would want to choose the boxed equation. That's the easiest one to work with. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write negative 4. So negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So your answer for this problem should be negative 4, negative 1. Moving on to number 14. I have y equals negative 3x plus 7 and 2x plus 2y equals 6. So I'm going to plug that negative 3x plus 7 in place of the y value in my other equation. So that's 2x plus 2. And instead of writing y, I'm going to write negative 3x plus 7. Bring down your 6. So I'm going to distribute this 2 into both terms inside of that set of parentheses. So I have 2x, and then 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. 2 times 7 is 14. Bring down your 6. 2x minus 6x is negative 4x. And then subtract 14 from each side to get negative 4x equals negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 4. X equals a positive 2. Now to find out what y is, I'm going to plug that 2 in place of my boxed equation. Remember, you could have used the other equation if you wanted to. It would still give you the same answer. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write 2. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 7 equals 1. So my answer for number 14 should be 2, 1. Oops. Sorry about that. Now moving on to number 15. Number 15 says I have y equals 4x plus 12 and 2x plus 2y equals 6. Oh, good grief. I'm going to rewrite that problem. It's y equals 4x plus 12 and 2x minus y equals negative 8. Sorry about that. So I'm going to plug in 4x plus 12 in place of this y value here. So that gives me 2x minus, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write 4x plus 12 equals negative 8. So this is understood, instead of being just a negative, it's understood to be a negative 1. So I'm going to distribute negative 1 in place of, or into each term inside of that set of parentheses. So negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. Negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. Bring down your negative 12 and your negative 8. Add 12 to each side to get negative 2x equals 4. And then divide both sides by negative 2 to get x equals negative 2. Now I'm going to plug negative 2 in place of the x value of my boxed equation. So negative 2 in place of x. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 12 is 4. So your answer on number 15 should be negative 2, 4. Now we're going to move on to numbers 16 through 20. These problems are a little bit different. We are still going to be using the elimination or the substitution method that we've been using on the last 5 problems. But you'll notice that in the substitution problems we had before, we had either a y equals or an x equals. Well, over here, notice you don't have that y equals or that x equals. So we are going to have to do that ourselves. So on number 16, I have negative x minus y equals negative 7, and then x minus 3y equals negative 9. So I am going to choose a variable that is positive with no number in front, meaning no coefficient. The only value I can choose is this x, because all of these other ones are negative, and that y has a 3 in front. So that x is the one I'm going to choose, and I want to get it by itself. So to do that, I would add 3y to each side. So I would get x equals, those 3y's would cancel, 3y minus 9. So now I'm going to plug in that 3y minus 9 into the x value of my other equation because it's x equals. So that's negative, and then instead of x, I'm going to write 3y minus 9. Bring down your minus y equals negative 7. So now I'm going to distribute that negative 1 into that set of parentheses. Negative 1 times 3y is negative 3y. Negative 1 times negative 9 is a positive 9. Bring down your minus y and your minus 7. Negative 3y minus that understood to be a 1y equals negative 4y. Bring down that 9 you didn't use equals negative 7. Subtract 9 from each side to get negative 4y equals negative 16. And then you divide both sides by negative 4 to get y equals a positive 4. So now I'm going to plug in that 4 into one of my original equations. This was not an original equation. We altered this, or we altered one of the equations to get this. So I have to choose one of the original ones, because if I made a mistake from here to here, then I would need to check with an original equation just to make sure that I didn't make a mistake here. So that would give me, I'm always going to choose, by the way, the equation that I got the variable by itself. So x minus 3y equals negative 9. So instead of writing that y, I'm going to write a 4. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Add 12 to each side to get x equals 3. So my answer for number 16 is going to be 3, 4. The reason I write the 3 first is because our x value should come first, and then your y value. Moving on to problem number 17. I have x minus 4y equals 7, and then 2x plus 3y equals negative 8. So I choose the positive variable that has no coefficient in front. That would be this x right here. So to get that x by itself, I'm going to add 4y to each side, which would give me x equals, that negative 4y and positive 4y would cancel, and then that would be 4y plus 7. So now I'm going to plug that 4y plus 7 into the x value of the other equation, which gives me 2, and instead of writing x, I'm going to write 4y plus 7. Plus 3y equals negative 8. Now I'm going to distribute that 2 in place of my, into each term in my set of parentheses. So 2 times 4y is 8y. 2 times 7 is 14. Bring down your 3y and your negative 8. So 8y plus 3y is 11y. Bring down your 14 and your negative 8. Subtract 14 from both sides to get 11y equals negative 22. Divide both sides by 11 to get y equals negative 2. So I'm going to plug negative 2 in place of my y value of either equation. I'm going to choose the top equation. So negative 2 in place of my y. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8. When you subtract 8 from each side, you should get x equals negative 1. So your answer should be negative 1 first, because it's the x value first, then negative 2. Moving on to problem number 18. I have negative 3x minus 3y equals negative 9, and I have negative x plus y equals negative 3. So I'm going to choose the variable that is positive with nothing in front. That would be this y right here. So to get that y by itself, I would add x to each side to get y equals x minus 3. So I'm going to plug x minus 3 in place of the y of my other equation. So that's negative 3x minus 3, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write x minus 3. I'm going to bring down my minus 9. So I'm going to distribute that negative 3 into both terms in my set of parentheses. So that's negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Bring down your negative 9. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. Negative 3x minus 3 x is negative 6x, subtract 9 from each side to get negative 6x equals negative 18. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6 to get x equals a positive 3. Now I'm going to plug that positive 3 in place of my x of one of my equations. I'm going to choose the second equation. I'm going to plug 3 in place of my x. So if I've got negative 3 plus y equals negative 3, I need to get that y by itself, so I'm going to do that by adding 3 to both sides. That's y equals negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So my answer for this problem is 3, 0. Moving on to number 19. I have negative x minus 2y equals negative 6, and then x plus 3y equals 7. So I'm going to get this x by itself because it is the only positive variable without a coefficient. So to get that by itself, I'm going to subtract 3y from each side to get x equals negative 3y plus 7. So I'm going to plug negative 3y plus 7 in place of the x value of my other equation. So that gives me negative, and instead of writing x, I'm going to write negative 3y plus 7 minus 2y equals negative 6. So I'm going to put a 1 right here because that's actually multiplying each term by a negative 1. So I'm going to distribute that. Negative 1 times negative 3y is a positive 3y. Negative 1 times 7 is a negative 7. Bring down your minus 2y and your negative 6. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. 3y minus 2y is just y. Bring down your minus 7 equals negative 6. Then I add 7 to both sides to get y equals a positive 1. Now I'm going to plug my 1 into the y of one of my two original equations. I'm going to choose the second equation. So that's going to be a 1 in place of my y. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract 3 from each side to get x equals 4. So my answer is going to be 4, 1, because remember the x value comes first. Number 20, x minus 2y equals 1. Negative 3x plus 4y equals negative 5. So I'm going to get this x by itself. So that would be adding 2y to each side to get that x by itself. So that's x equals 2y plus 1. So I'm going to plug 2y plus 1 in place of my x of this other equation. So that's negative 3, and instead of writing x, I'm going to write 2y plus 1. Bring down your 4y and your negative 5. So distribute this negative 3 into your set of parentheses. Negative 3 times 2y is negative 6y. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Bring down your 4y and your negative 5. Combine your like terms to get negative 6y plus 4y, which is negative 2y. Bring down your negative 3 and your negative 5. Add 3 to each side to get negative 2y equals a negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 2 to get y equals a positive 1. So I'm going to plug 1 into the y value of one of my equations. I'm going to choose the top equation. So my y is 1. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Then I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get x equals 3. So my final answer on this problem, which should be 3, 1. Your x value always comes first, so that's why the 3 comes first. I hope you have found this lesson to be helpful. I wish you the best of luck. When you are working on that homework assignment, just know that you should not be working with any fractions, and most of your problems should be either 6 or lower, or between negative 6 and positive 6. You should not have any large numbers as answers. All right, wish you the best of luck.